Hello everybody and welcome back to Alpha Music if you know me, and if you don't know me, my name is Mr. Martin, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about a project we're going to work on with our year 5s and 6s during the second half of this summer term. And the idea is you're going to work in small groups, not a lot of singing, not a lot of playing, but hopefully lots of creative composing ideas and working together to put a kind of a soundscape in place that represents the arrival, the climax, and then the disappearance of a storm. So you've got to imagine you're sat in your back garden, you're in a field, wherever you may be, enjoying the sun, a bit like we have been over the last few weeks, enjoying the sun, and then in the distance, you've seen no clouds for a long time, but in the distance you just start to see a few fluffy white clouds appear. And then gradually, and the key word is gradually those clouds are going to start to move over, and they're going to change from white to grey. And as the clouds thicken, they're going to go from grey to dark grey. The rain might start in the distance and then get louder and louder and heavier. The wind, the rain, the clouds turn dark, and then you get the first crashes of thunder, flashes of lightning, even in the midst of this storm. And then gradually, when the storm's passed, you're going to start to hear all those same things, but disappear slowly, gradually into the distance. So we're going to have this idea of build. So it's going to get louder and louder and louder to the middle section where the storm hits, and then it's going to get softer and softer and softer. And your teacher and yourselves are going to have a pack to look at. So you should have a document for pupils, and there should be a document for teachers. And some of the key words I want you to think about are crescendo. Can you all say crescendo? It's an Italian term, and the Italians love to gesture, crescendo, and it means gradually get louder. And then the opposite of that, decrescendo, which means gradually softer. Two key words when you're thinking about this kind of composition and build-up of all these sounds that you're going to create. Another important word is texture, because when you listen to music, if there's just one thing happening, we would say that has a very thin texture. But if you imagine as this storm increases and becomes more complex in terms of how many people are involved in the group, what sounds they're all making, you can imagine the texture getting thicker and thicker to the storm itself, and then gradually getting thinner again as the storm passes. Now, the crucial part of the composing process for this particular composition is that you can't use any instruments. You can only use your voices, and you can only use body sounds or things that you can do with your body that create sound. It may be that some groups want to put actions. It may be that some groups could have good ideas about kind of props they might use. But obviously at the moment, we're going to be very careful about props and things that we use, because we can only use things that belong to us that no one else can touch. But that really is for you to think about in your groups. So the idea is your teacher's going to split you into groups of maybe 4, 5, certainly no more than 6, because what happens when you get the bigger groups is there's always 1 or 2 who may just sit back a little bit and let everyone else do the work. And the idea is that everybody's involved in this. And I would say, I think everybody needs to be involved in at least 2 elements of this performance when it actually does get to be performed. At least 2. Obviously, some of you might be involved in sort of more aspects of that. And the idea is that over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to put in place, there'll be time allocated for you to think of ideas, to brainstorm ideas, maybe on pieces of paper, sounds that you could make that would be representative of a storm, of weather, bad weather, good weather. And then the most important part is to structure that in such a way that we get this idea of a build, a gradual, slow crescendo, thickening of texture until the storm is overhead, raging, and then gradually passing out the other side. So I'm going to pass you now onto your teacher, and hopefully they can start to have some kind of discussion with you about how this process begins. There are 4 really good YouTube clips to watch. I'd like you to watch those clips, but maybe not just watch them and then move on. Watch each clip and have a discussion as a class, as a group, about what the ideas that you saw in that were good, and which ideas, did you think could have been worked on better? What could the people in those clips have done even better? Maybe you can't think of anything, but there's always something I think that can be done to improve a performance. So have a think about that. And that's important because at the end of this process, you're all going to perform to the rest of the class. So each group will perform their soundscape called the storm to the rest of the class. And everybody will be required to give some kind of verbal feedback about your performance. Obviously, all the things that are good, what was creative, what was brilliant, what was effective, what worked really, really well, what made you proud when you watched that particular group. And then also some constructive criticism, where you might give them feedback on what they could have done to make it even better. That works really well. And when everybody has performed, what I'd like you to do is have a class vote. Heads down, and then everybody gets one vote only. You can't vote for your own group. And then the teacher can watch the show of hands and choose the best of all the groups to then perform as a full class. So maybe in the final week of this project, the whole class could be involved in the performance of the same piece. And the group that won, the group who you choose, then they could be the leaders for that class performance. They could help teach everybody. And again, even then, when you've done your final class performance and you've recorded it on an iPad, however you've done it, I'd like you to watch that. And again, what was good about that performance when you all performed together? What could you have done better the next time? And that's it really. So I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of your teacher, and I hope you enjoy the project. If any of you get a chance to send me some of the recordings, that will be absolutely brilliant, and I'll give you some feedback as well. But other than that, good luck to everybody, and I really do hope I see you again soon. Okay, bye for now.